Alright, the MM710. What a saga to get to where we are today. They originally announced this mouse back at the end of May at Computex, and while they stayed on their timeline to get this out on the street at the end of September, they left plenty of time between then and now for the competitors to flood the market with lightweight mouse options. On top of that, they originally sent out some really rough early alpha copies to reviewers. A lot of the reviews you've seen out there already are based on that model. So today is special for two reasons. Number one, because we finally get to share our updated impressions of the latest revision of this mouse. And number two, this is the last lightweight mouse I have to review for a while. And I'm ready. You ready? Let's go. Today's video is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear, your new US-based source for aftermarket mouse glides. Both CorePad and Tiger Gaming are in stock and shipping now for all major mouse models, with Hyperglides coming very soon. Because Lethal is based in the US, they offer 1-day processing and 1 to 3 day shipping in the continental US for much lower than the competition. More models are being added all the time, but if you need something you don't see, hit up the contact form and request stock for your specific needs. And don't forget to use code BADSEEDTECH for 10% off your first order. For quality mouse skates fast, hit the link in the description below or check them out at lethalgaminggear.com. Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching Bad Seed Tech, and today we're checking out the MM710 lightweight ambi claw grip mouse from Cooler Master. For transparency, this was sent out for review, but as you should know by now, doesn't affect my review in any way. So, this mouse is clearly based on the Master Mouse S. It's a small medium mouse that scored pretty high praise for its size and shape, but had a couple opportunities, one of which was the weight, which due to an added 13-gram weight tipped the scales at over 90 grams. They've obviously opted to swing hard the other direction here with the MM710, only weighing about 55 grams on my scale, making it one of the lightest lightweights out there. Retailing for $49.99 US, it measures 116 millimeters long, 60 at the front flare, 62 at the rear, 56 at the grip, with a height of 38 millimeters. So it's a short, wide build, and the sides don't really have pronounced curves. Lengthwise, the only shorter lightweight out there is the Ultralight 2. The grip width here is similar to an O- or an S2. Height is spot on to the XM1, S2, and the Razer Viper. The only mouse out there that's lighter is the Ultralight 2 in stock form. Once you start sticking those infinity skins on the side to match the grip width though, you'll start matching the weight as well. Obviously, this is not intended to be a palm grip mouse. With a hand measurement of 20.5 centimeter by 10.5, I can claw grip this thing, but it's more comfortable for me in fingertip. And it just so happens I've been working on fingertip grip a lot as of late, so this should be right up my alley right now. We'll see. So, not a surprise, we've got a skeletal frame here again, this time hexagon shaped like the Cooler Master logo. Big holes. I'm honestly not a fan of the look or the comfort due to this. These holes are so big that you can easily feel them in your hand. It's really obvious. Particularly annoying is that the tip of my pinky finger usually finds its way into one of these. I don't like it. It creeps me out and it's distracting. Body is all matte plastic, all business, no frills, no RGB. Front trigger switches are 20mm Omrons. Triggers are split from the body. Side play on both mouse 1 and 2 are what I would consider to be acceptable. Really very minimal pre-travel here. Pretty pronounced post-travel though. In-game, I only really notice it on mouse 2. Even though the outside edge of the triggers makes contact with the body, I don't have any issues with this pinching the tip of my ring finger. Everything I just pointed out has been noticeably improved from the original alpha copy I received. Side buttons here are 2-pin micro switches from Huano. These are actually really good. Pre-travel is virtually non-existent. You can trigger these with side panel flex, but it takes some force. Now, in fairness, I don't own a single skeletal mouse that doesn't do this, but this is pretty extreme. Thing is though, in normal use, I can't imagine anybody gripping their mouse hard enough to actually do this. It is important to note here that we have an ambi shape, not a true ambi mouse, as you only get buttons on the left side. Scroll wheel is great. 24 steps, rubberized. You can feel the tactile steps, but it's quiet. Huano switch here as well, easy to press too. Using wheels like this makes it really tough to go back to something like a Zowie. There is a little rattle still inside this mouse, but much like the Viper, I have to shake this thing like a newborn in order to hear it. Cable here is what they call the Ultra Weave cable. It's in the top 3 of stock paracords easy. You don't need a bungee with this. You don't need to paracord this mouse unless you just want a different look. The stress relief here has a good angle. They did this right, 0 complaints here. 3389 sensor here. It's off center towards the rear of the mouse, 7 steps, mostly usable steps too. Default polling rate is 1000 Hertz. If you install the software, you can dial in your DPI, change liftoff distance, and adjust polling rate. You'll also get macros and reassignments in here as well, and these settings do save to the mouse. Feet here are 95% pure PTFE. They don't look to have rounded edges. They do have a protective film though, and you have to remove this or you're gonna think these are the worst mouse feet you've ever seen. They do still need a little time to break in, but again, I don't have any complaints here, and you get an extra set in the box. I like this on the Helios, but it was a little too fast for me. With a mouse this light, normally I would want a little more control, so I went with the GSR SE, but I found I was undershooting. So I went with the Thor, and that got me right in the neighborhood where I wanted to be. Testing was still frustrating though, because I was nailing accuracy, but my speed was lacking, so I wasn't hitting high scores. I wasn't aiming confidently. Those holes on the outside of the mouse were driving me crazy. So I made a little adjustment. And that's what I was missing. My score increased both times over, and then I beat my personal record again on the 3rd try. Taking it into game, I didn't have any issue cleaning house here as well. When you're learning a new grip or playstyle, it's easy to stay on point in a controlled environment like Kovacs, but in game, you have a lot more going on. Once I got to a place where I could stop thinking about which hole I was gonna stick my pinky in, I could focus on getting kills instead of my mouse grip. Too easy. So this mouse overall is closest to the Ultralight 2, but this is the mouse that I needed the Ultralight 2 to be. The Ultralight 2 was just too small for me, even in fingertip grip, and I had to load that thing up with infinity skins. But the added grip width and the added height makes this the right move for me over that one. Value comparison here, we're talking $50 for the MM710 versus like $150 retail for the Ultralight 2. This is no contest for me. So that leaves the O-. Price is neck and neck. O- is a few grams heavier, still very light. O- is not a great fit for me either because it has the length, but that doesn't really do anything for me. The MM710 has the width and height advantage here as well for me. Those of you with smaller hands could probably go either way. I do like the clicks more on the MM710. The feet are kind of take it or leave it, and I like the cable more slightly on the MM710. Wrapping up here, I'm really happy to see some market improvement on this copy versus the first one that came out. I'm gonna be honest, if I had done a review based on that first alpha copy, it would have been a bloodbath. One thing I am going to point out here that I probably should have said about numerous other mice in their reviews as well is that I'm cool not having RGB on my mouse, but I really like having a DPI indicator, especially when you have like 7 or 8 default steps. It's really handy to be able to glance that indicator and not have to cycle through and play guessing games, especially if you're trying to adjust in the middle of a game. I'm really not crazy about the size of the holes here at all. Without access to this infinity skin, I would have had to find a lizard skin or something, and I really recommend it if the holes bother you to experiment with something like that before you write this mouse off. At $50 here, the performance is solid. O- definitely takes it in the looks department, but if I'm being honest, you could probably spend $50 on either one, go either way, and you'd be totally fine. For me personally, this shape, like this little short rectangular shape, seems like what I need to further pursue fingertip grip, and that's something I'm really on right now. This is also the lightest mouse that still fits me size-wise, so I'll probably be spending a lot of time with this thing behind the scenes. For the record, right now in the arms race of best lightweight mouse, for me personally, it's coming down to either this mouse or the in-game XM1. The post-travel on the triggers here doesn't really bother me personally. My O- doesn't have issues with side play, and neither does my new copy of the MM710, so that's kind of a moot point for me. And that is a wrap for lightweight mice, at least for a while. I will have a little roundup video highlighting my favorites from both the Ambi and the Ergo shapes coming up, just to put some closure on this whole thing since we've looked at so many, so be on the lookout for that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you're watching this video, that means the MM710 is live, so I'll leave links in the description down below. As always, any questions, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.